welcome back. Today I thought I'd share with you one of my other passions, which is floral design. Spring being upon us, I thought what better opportunity than to share with you, in my opinion, one of the most creative, innovative design ideas that I've ever come across. Okay, before we get started, I want to go over how to clean tulips. How I clean tulips. Everybody has maybe a little different technique, but I found this is the most efficient and long-lasting. It really helps the life, the sort of the vase life of the tulip. So what I like to do, I unwrap them. And I open it up. Hopefully there aren't any damaged tulips. And what I do, a lot of times people just take the tulips and put them in a vase. I don't like doing that. I remove all of the larger leaves, leaving just the tulip head and maybe one of the younger leaves attached. And I go through each tulip carefully. This one is just the tulip bud, which is perfectly fine, but carefully just pulling away. Tulips are very, very brittle, so if you pull or if you're too rough with the stem, it will snap. But the idea is just to clean as many of the outside leaves as you can. The other thing that I like to do when preparing to work with tulips, especially if it's not going to be in the type of arrangement we're doing today, but it's in an arrangement where you actually see the stem, I like to take a small paring knife and very, very carefully peel away any of the leftover stem that we removed earlier. And just so that your stem is fairly clean and smooth. Again, this step could easily break the stem of the tulip. Also, before submerging the tulip in water, what I like to do is sort of cut it. And using the knife, I like to cut it on an angle, which allows more of the stem surface to be exposed, therefore being able to drink more water. So many times when you buy flowers, sometimes they're prearranged for you, but a lot of people don't realize to get a really great looking arrangement, whether it's flowers that you buy at the grocery store or flowers that you cut from your garden, it's really important to condition flowers. And what we're doing here is actually just that. We're conditioning the tulips. Okay, the next step, we are going to prepare our container. I'm using today a glass cylinder. The size is 5 by 9. You can use a smaller container, you can use a larger container. Probably, I might be able to get all the tulips in here. I'm not going to force it. I'm going to make sure that it's a full arrangement, and if there's any left over, I could just make another arrangement. So what I ended up doing, a lot of times when you buy the asparagus, they come with rubber bands around them, and usually the rubber bands are a bright color. It doesn't really matter because it's going to be covered. So what I like to do is I'll wrap the rubber band in 2 spots around the container, on the top and on the bottom, and try to put your rubber band so that it's even. And we're going to take each asparagus and just put it underneath the rubber band. And we're going to put asparagus next to asparagus. Okay, so there you have it. We have our asparagus decorated glass cylinder. And before we move on to the next step, in arranging the tulips, what we're going to do is cover the elastic bands. I'm using twine. It's a natural jute twine. I use this actually for staking vegetables in the garden. Ideally, if you had thicker rubber bands that were the tan color, I would suggest using those for obvious reasons, because when you wrap it with the jute, or you can wrap it with natural raffia, if you see any of the rubber band, it kind of just blends in. We're going to try to camouflage the bright blue rubber bands as best as we can. Another trick to do this is I have 4 lengths of the jute. What I do so that it doesn't slide, I kind of feed it underneath the rubber band so it stays in place, and then I wrap Again, you really want to cover. They seem a little thick, but I think it's a large arrangement, so you have this type of effect. We will trim the ends. In fact, I'll do that now. And again, feel free, when you're creating something like this, you have your own style, you have your own way of doing things. It really doesn't, there's no set rules. So you basically cover your elastic band and you're going to do the same thing on the bottom. Okay, so now we have both the top and the bottom covered with the jute cord. I think if I had the tan colored rubber band, I probably wouldn't have gone as wide on the jute, but I wanted to make sure in this case that the rubber band, the blue rubber band, was covered. Next we're going to do is fill our cylinder with cold water, and I would say fill it halfway, and then you could always add more water as we once we complete our arrangement. The way that I like, and you could see we had these tulips sitting for a while we were preparing our container, and you can see a lot of the tulips have already started to open and sort of enlarge, which is a good thing. That's what you want. It will continue to do so when you put it in your arrangement. I mean, tulips, if they're conditioned the way we just did them here, they'll last for several days, especially if the temperatures are right. Now, the way that I like to arrange, I start with the largest head flowers first, and that kind of like determines the shape of the arrangement. So with that being said, I'm going to start here. Actually, I think I'm just going to take these out of the water so they'll be easier to work with. And I'll let the heads, I'll be very careful not to have the heads be crushed. Okay, starting with the largest head possible. I'm just going to kind of put it in here. Now I realize this stem is too long, so what I'll do is, and I'm going to use a scissor in this case, I'm going to trim my tulips. So remember, you could always trim more. You can't, once you trim it too short, it's hard to reverse that. And I'm trying to, so as you can see, I'm placing them sort of evenly around. And I'm working with the same scale of tulip so that there's some, to create some kind of balance. That seems a little long. Sort of like that adage, measure twice. Is it measured twice, cut once? Or yeah, I think that's what it is. Okay, and I keep turning the arrangement. In this case, it's great because the asparagus actually they serve as a sort of a support. And the tulip has this natural arch, which is fine. You want that. And what also is happening as I create this and I keep turning the arrangement, the stems inside the container are forming a grid pattern, and that helps the stems crossing over, intersecting one another, actually helps support another stem. So it takes a little practice, but it's always, I tend to like tighter arrangements. You can go looser, though you will need more flowers, obviously. I save all of these buds for the end, and I use these, but I add them in the end. So I'll separate as I come across any of these smaller tight buds, I will save those. So yeah, so I'm creating, as you can see, the shape is starting to take form. Maybe I'll do some white, and these are, for some reason, these tulips are a little straighter, but I'll just start, see how I just was able to put that into the container. The stems of the previous tulips that I put in created the form. So maybe I'm gonna look for some straighter looking, like this is pretty straight. And it will, so you wanna create, you look at an arrangement, especially an arrangement like this, from all different sides. So it's really important to keep turning the arrangement. another straight tulip. For some reason, the white tulips are quite straight, which is great. If they were all curved, it would be a little difficult. I'm not sure if I want to keep this leaf or not, but I think, we'll see. You could always trim it. Now I don't really mind that there are a lot of tight buds because these will open. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. I mean, to me, it says spring when you look at this. And you could use, I mean, you could do this with daffodils also. I like, when I'm working on arranging flowers, I like working either with one type of flower, maybe in two colors, preferably in one, or shades of one, because I don't like it to be too like multi-colored or multi-types of flower. I mean, everybody has a different aesthetic, so it's totally up to you. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is just keep turning this and keep adding. Okay, I think we're gonna get all of this in here. What I wanted to do, and I don't know, well, I'll still consider doing it. Once I get all the flowers arranged, and you can see this is really taking shape, I was going to use, just as a novelty idea, flat leaf Italian parsley or some sage as sort of a filler. Typically you use your filler first and then you add your tulips, which you can, I guess you can do. I was just really wanted to focus and be able to show you how this, it's more about the shape. Really continue, like the curve works best on the outside. If you were to purchase something like this, you can only imagine how much it might cost, and understandably so, because I mean it's quite a bit of work, quite a bit of materials. I bought all of this, and I'm not even using the Swiss chard or the radishes, including the parsley. The sage came out of the garden. I spent about $30. To me, this is a well worth investment. It's an absolutely gorgeous arrangement. I could tell just by looking at it now. And keeping in mind, the tulips will open. So I'm working with, in this case, 3 bunches of tulips, so it's about 30 stems. It's sort of a pretty shape. So like I wouldn't necessarily put this tulip in the center, I'd put it towards the side of the edge of the container, because you could see it's sort of like cascading over. But that's why I keep turning the arrangement. I just think it's beautiful. And it has a scent, it smells very, very spring-like, like similar to the scent of freshly cut grass. So now I'm just taking the very, very tight buds and just kind of filling in wherever I see a space. And there's something I think really beautiful about the mature open tulip, and then next to it some really tight buds. So here I would remove the leaf. Just a few little tricks in working with tulips, and it's very, very easy. And very, very, I think, very satisfying. But as I keep turning, I want to make sure it's balanced. And it looks pretty balanced to me. I remove the sleeve. Let's see. Maybe here. This would make a perfect gift for Easter, Passover, or even Mother's Day. Okay, so there we have our arrangement. I think what we're going to do is I would like to add some filler. Let me just move some of this to the side. I'm going to start. I think I want to start with some of the sage, and not only I think that is the color and the texture of the sage going to be interesting, but it has an amazing scent to it. So let's just see what that looks like. So I'm going to just pop some of that in. I love the way it looks actually, and a lot of the sage for some reason also, as I cut it, I noticed it was sort of arching, which sort of works in this case because it kind of goes with, and it just fills in. Use that one. This one's pretty straight, so I'm not going to use that. This one, it smells so good. I love sage. And it's just like, I mean, to have this in your kitchen, you could actually pick from it if you were going to be preparing a meal that has called for sage or parsley. It's almost like a live, like an arrangement that you could actually take the herbs from. You could use dill. You could use, I'm trying to think, it's chives. I mean, so when you go to the grocery store and if you're thinking of creating something like this, try to really look at your produce and your herbs in a little different way in terms of texture, color, and think about how you could actually work with them in making an arrangement. Let's try some parsley in here and see what that looks like. I think I love it. I kind of love the idea. You know, I just thought it could be really, really cute to do something like this with carrots. Like if you get very long carrots, of course the carrots I think have to be sort of, you could do a table that's asparagus, carrots, you could do a whole celery, I mean you could do a whole sort of tablescape using different vegetables. That would be absolutely beautiful, I think. So let me just, I don't want to overdo it with this, although I tend to. I'm going to stick some parsley. It's going to be a little tricky as it gets tighter. If you're careful, you can definitely, I think that's it. One more piece of parsley. Oh, I broke that one. This one's good. Just kind of top it up here. Just kind of adds a little different texture. And there you have it. So what I'm going to do is actually add some more water. Just mix from the top. And there you have your beautiful, natural tulip and asparagus arrangement. I hope you enjoyed this video and you're willing to give it a try. Don't forget to click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and ring the notification bell so you'll be notified the next time a video is posted. In the meantime, you can follow me on 365celebrate.com for more baking, gardening, and decorating ideas. I'll see you next time.